My name is Ray. I'm with the Wet Spot Tropical Fish Aquarium maintenance team, and this is a tank that I built. I didn't fabricate it, but this is a tank that I set up, and it is at one of my clients, and right now it's mostly a barb tank. I haven't actually added all of the fish that I'm looking to add to it, and today we're going to be doing some maintenance on it. I'm going to be testing the water, I'm going to be water changing, I'm going to be scrubbing algae, and vacuuming the sand a little bit where I can. And basically this is a pretty new tank. You'll see that there's still like tannins in the water, which is why it's this color. And that's because the wood is still pretty new, and so it's still leaching those tannins into the water. It's not harmful for the fish. It is mostly just a aesthetic preference that most fish actually do enjoy. A lot of different kinds of fish enjoy having tannins in their tank because it reminds them of their natural environments. So we get a lot of people through our store and through our website that ask us to help them maintain their tanks. Not everybody is able to maintain their tanks, and not everybody wants to maintain their tanks, and that's fine. And so we come and do that for them. We basically do anything that they need for the tank to survive and thrive and be in balance, and yeah. So the first thing that I start with is starting the water siphon. It is a surprisingly simple process. It works completely on the physics of the water itself. So I start that, and typically I go for gravel vac first. And I always make sure to have it draining into a spot where it's going to drain and there's enough space just in case a little bit of water backs up. Next, after I finish doing all of the gravel siphoning, I will kind of let that keep going in the background while I test the water. We use the API master test kit. Right now that kind of is just what works the best. And when I'm using that test, I am looking at 4 different things. I'm looking at pH, ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate. And then basically you want the pH, at least for this tank, I keep the pH just above neutral. That is what these fish will like. And the ammonia always has to be 0, though in some cities, chloramines in the water can show up as a very low level of ammonia and give you kind of a false positive. Next, I typically go for getting all of the details. I go for using a toothbrush and getting all the grime off of the small spaces. I am a huge fan of using toothbrushes to clean fish tanks. They get pretty much every little nook and cranny that you could possibly think of. I also, in tanks that have the Fluval FX, I noticed that there is a decent amount of detritus that gets stuck in that intake. So I like to use a Seachem scrubber. It has both a razor blade and a pad, and it has a rotating cartridge, so you can pick which side you want to use. I would never use a razor outside of the water. That can scratch your tank really easily. I also make sure to give the lids a good wipe down because of where the lights are and because of how high the water is. Oftentimes you'll get a lot of really gross algae and slime that just like gets all up in your lid. It's super gross. It's honestly probably one of the grossest parts of cleaning the tank is the slime that gets on the lid. I did bring a couple of new plants for this tank this time, and it is still pretty new, so I am adding plants still, adding fish as well, but I'm particularly adding a lot of anubias because there is quite a bit of wood space, and anubias are rhizome plants that like to grow on the wood. So yeah, I will just find a little place to just tuck those guys into the wood, and the plant does the rest for me. The last thing I'll do when I'm refilling is I will turn on the filter whenever the water level gets high enough that it's not just going to spray all over. We use a buffer to ensure that the pH stays completely stable in this tank. We live in a city where the water can fluctuate in its pH levels due to the different types of treatment that they do throughout the year. So using the buffer just ensures that it's staying as stable as possible. As we are filling up with new water, the fish typically tend to perk up. I notice in some tanks, if there is like high nitrates in the tank, they will be kind of sluggish. And then towards the end, when we're refilling, they love that. Most fish also react to like water flow. So you'll see a lot of fish that just kind of hang out by the siphon when you're refilling. That's fine. It's not going to hurt them, even though it's technically just straight tap water right in their face. I've never had any issues with them reacting to that at all. While you're filling the tank with new water, it is a perfect time to closely observe your fish behavior. Typically, happy, healthy fish will be pretty energetic as you're refilling their water. Again, this does depend on the species, but typically they'll be pretty happy that they've gotten a water change. This is a great time to look out for behavioral difficulties such as flashing, gasping for air at the top of the tank, or just like sitting on the bottom of the tank. These can indicate high fluctuation in pH, a spike in ammonia. Any of those things that are really drastic will be immediately noticeable when you are refilling the tank. Thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments if you have anything that you'd like to see us do, or if you have any questions or like want to see what else aquarium maintenance does. Like, comment, and subscribe.